Rural America. Cities with the most lead dispenser restrictions. All major U.S. cities. Welcome back to Laugh While the World Burns, where every Sunday we kick back, relax, and observe the idiocracy that is modern-day society. And we're all here to try to laugh about it while it is still legal. Please consider hitting that like button, and if you haven't already, smash subscribe, click the bell, and select all notifications so you don't miss future episodes. We got some good memes and a lot of idiocracy news, so let's get into it. I hate kids and never want them. Now give me your kids so I can teach them about my worldviews. That pretty much sums up a lot of these people. You're not allowed to leave bad reviews. Woman says she's getting sued over leaving a 1-star review. Is that possible? In today's society, it is. If you have a problem with a company or their products, and you leave them a bad review, they can turn around and sue you for defamation. And it doesn't matter if what you said is true. Residents face HOA fines as high as $10,000 for opening windows in sinking San Francisco tower. Breaking news: the police have apprehended the illegal alien that has been eating the cats. Fact check true. Germany. Woman convicted of offending migrant gang rapist receives longer prison sentence than this. That's a pretty good summary of today's so-called justice system. Jesse Smollett. Stage attack by opposing political group. Zero evidence. Media outrage. Andy Ngo. Actually attacked by an opposing political group. Video evidence. Media silence. Me playing Call of Duty, wondering why there's no sound. My grandfather with his new Bluetooth hearing aid. That would be pretty bad. Throw it away. High traces of lead found in 12 brands of cinnamon spice powders. This article came out a couple weeks ago, so here's your PSA if you've bought any cinnamon spice recently, which at this time of year, a lot of people are. 100 farmers were asked what they do in their spare time. 95 didn't understand the question, and the other 5 didn't know what day it was. Yeah, because they're thinking, what spare time? Politicians before election. Politicians after election. Help control the pet population. Adopt a Haitian. I love how the media tried to push that this was all fake news now, even though there was one news reporter and cameraman that showed the remains of a dog and a pig which had been eaten/sacrificed. But yeah, it's just all fake news. Check this one out, guys. 3 Washington teens are facing 10 years in jail after making skid marks on a LGBT Rainbow Road mural while riding e-scooters. 19-year-old and 2 unnamed minors were arrested on Wednesday for first-degree malicious mischief after vandalizing the Rainbow Pride mural that sits in front of Riverfront Park located in Spokane, Washington. Durko appeared in court on Thursday alongside legal counsel. Prosecutors requested a $15,000 bond that would cover the approximate cost of repainting the mural. The teen was later released on his own reconnaissance on the condition that he does not return to the crosswalk. And here's another article about the same. Washington teen faces 10 years in prison for scooter tracks on a pride mural, while D.C. police make no arrest for anti-American vandalism of U.S. monuments. Which, by the way, that photo right there is literally that exact mural that they drove the scooters across. And those little bitty marks right there are what they're talking about. This is on a city road. You literally can't go down the road without driving across it. This article is about the company that rents those scooters. Lime scooters will now shut down if driven over pride flag crosswalks in Spokane, Washington. So if you're driving a scooter and need to go across this intersection, the scooter will automatically shut down when it gets to that area. So you gotta pick it up, carry it, and walk across there. Or have to try to figure out a way to drive all the way around it without going off-road. This is the stupidity that we're facing in these days. And by the way, a first-degree malicious mischief is a felony. And I saw another article that had one example of a crime that would receive this same first-degree malicious mischief charge. And the example it gave was if a person was on an airplane and they damaged the plane in such a way that it created a safety risk to the aircraft or other passengers. And yet, that's what they're going to charge these 3 teens with, because they drove over a so-called flag that is painted onto a road. Here's just a very short news clip from this.
3 teenagers were arrested last week for the horrific crime of riding scooters on one of those pride flags you see painted on the road every 20 yards. Here's the vicious crime in full. Look, one of them's doing a wheelie. The horror! These kids were arrested on suspicion of first-degree malicious mischief, which is a felony offence, and are now potentially facing 10 years in jail. Here's one of them in court in a yellow jumpsuit like he's off to Guantanamo Bay. I bet these kids wish they'd just graffitied a war memorial, or burnt the American flag, or desecrated a portrait of the King of England instead of driving their scooters on the road. According to court documents, witnesses watched the 3 kids ride over the rainbow-painted crosswalk and intentionally skid their tyres.
I just saw this group of teenagers deliberately making marks and scratch marks with their Lime scooters, just all around.
Several witnesses confronted the group and called police.
We're not going to sit by as we watch people deliberately commit a hate crime, right in the middle of downtown.
After looking at security footage, officers arrested 3 teenagers. 2 are minors and 1 is 19-year-old Ruslan Turco.
You are charged with 1 count malicious mischief.
Turco had his first appearance in court this afternoon. The judge released him under the condition he doesn't go near the crosswalk or the other teenagers. Prosecutors, though, had asked the judge to set a $15,000 bond since that's how much it costs to repaint the mural.
The community really came together to raise the money for them to be able to do it before the parade on Saturday.
Now this vandalism just hours after that repaint and only a few weeks after someone else set fire to the mural.
It sucks to be reminded in moments like this that there are still people out there that, have hate in their hearts for other people, so yeah.
But Kaylee wants everyone to know the love outweighs the hate here on Howard and through the entire city.
Yeah, the absolute absurdity and so-called legal double standard that we are faced with today. U.S. government report says fluoride at twice the recommended limit is linked to lower IQ in kids. A U.S. government report expected to stir debate concluded that fluoride in drinking water at twice the recommended limit is linked with lower IQ in children. The report, based on an analysis of previously published research, marks the first time a federal agency has determined, with moderate confidence, that there is a link between higher levels of fluoride exposure and lower IQ in kids. Yeah, and a lot of people would go around saying, well, that's only if there's twice the limit in it though. That's why they limit it down to a certain point. Well, how about all the fluoride that you're getting in your toothpaste every day? And even most floss picks are also coated with fluoride. And there's a lot of other products that has it too. Furthermore, and if people would do some digging and really research it out, they'd find out that the original testing of fluoride in drinking water was first done in the 1940s in Germany at the concentration camps. They found that it made the people more subdued and less likely to resist. And 7 months before World War II even ended, they began to put fluoride into drinking water here in the U.S., with Michigan being the first state. When was the last time an actor unalived a president? Better question, Johnny. When was the last time an actor was unalived for treason? Remember Klinger dressed like a woman to show that he was mentally ill. I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone in the comments that basically was saying that this was one of the first instances where they were beginning to normalize this. And the reason being, even though that he was doing this, he never did get his Section 8 and kicked out of the military. I never thought of it that way, but they could have a good point. A man in the UK who wanted rid of his wife didn't bother with a divorce or a hired unaliving man. He just went on her Facebook page and posted a meme about immigrants. She's now doing 4 years in prison. You know, we try to laugh about this, but at this point, it's all too true and getting worse by the day. Veteran biology professor who has been teaching that sex is determined by chromosomes X and Y for 20 years is fired after 4 students walked out of his classroom in Texas. When someone asks if I'm voting for Kamala Harris, this would be the only possible logical scenario that comes to mind. Navy launches USS New Jersey, first U.S. submarine built for both genders. Yes, they literally are bragging about having a mixed living space. I'm all for saving the delivery fees, but not when you're putting other people's lives at risk because of your own stupidity. This guy here's got a bunch of lumber tied up to his bumper, and the other end of it is sitting on a stripped-down wheelchair. I don't care if he was only doing 20 miles an hour. The bearings in a wheelchair is not made for any kind of speed, let alone this entire rigged-up mess. If you don't have a way to properly secure a load without putting other people's lives in danger, then pay the delivery fee. America's longest welfare line. Brought to you by the border czar, Kamala Harris, and all the rest of the puppets up there for the last 20 years. Just another example of no matter what they say, they end up doing the exact same things. It's not just by chance that Biden continued to build the wall while making sure that all the gates stayed open. Years ago, before Trump was put in the first time, my dad and I both tried to tell people that if they ever build a wall, it won't be to keep people out. It'll be to keep people in. And when they do close those gates, look out for what's going to come next. Town officials shut down a boy's ice cream stand. Fundraisers and unaliving threats followed. This kid was raising money for his brother's hockey team, but some Karen in the neighborhood didn't like it, so she reported it to the city. And the town officials used the health department to force him to shut it down immediately, stating that they had received a complaint and said the 12-year-old's scheme violated the Massachusetts Food Code. This is the kind of people you live next door to, and the type of people who are in positions of power in the cities and even just the small towns these days. Army won't identify consequences for briefing that designated pro-life groups as terrorist. Army claims its extremism policy is unbiased, but lawmakers aren't so sure. Members of the House Armed Services Committee grilled the U.S. Army's Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Plans, and Training this week over the recent revelation that nearly 10,000 soldiers at North Carolina's Fort Liberty, which is actually Fort Bragg, were trained to believe that pro-life organizations qualify as terrorist groups. Lieutenant General Patrick Matlock suggested during Thursday's hearing that corrective action has been taken, though he was altogether light on details, refusing to indicate whether someone had actually been fired, suspended, or demoted, for likening champions of the unborn to mass unaliving jihadists. Representative Jim Banks, chairman of the subcommittee on military personnel, and members from both parties did not appear to be buying what Matlock was selling, especially his piece about accountability. I think the reason that you can't answer the question is because you know, and we know, that no one has been held accountable for this training that started in 2017 and occurred until a few months ago. Now, a lot of people may be surprised by this, but this is not just the military that's being taught these things. There was a document that I saw back some years ago where it was revealed that the FBI were teaching similar things, but not just about pro-lifers, but rather they had a whole long list of organizations and types of people that were potential terrorists, such as people who believe in the Bible, people who believed that there was a shadow government or high-up elites that were running the nations, evangelical Christians, those that were against all this LGBT stuff, and even, believe it or not, people who paid for a coffee in cash. And that is just a few of them that I can remember off the top of my head. I'll see if I can actually find that article again. If I do, I might have it on a future episode. I think, therefore I am arrested. This is the government our founders warned us about. Yeah, they want to be all-seeing, all-knowing, and control every single aspect of your life and everything you do. And it won't be long that they'll pretty much have that control. Voting for him would be just as good as voting for anybody else. And then arrest that granny in London who got stabbed and posted, "Ouch." DEI superheroes. White boys saving the universe. Most people couldn't care less who is in a movie. They just want to sit and relax and watch a good movie, and not a bunch of propaganda. This 23-year-old Brazilian surfer could not use his Christ the Redeemer surfboards because they violate Olympic rules, but mocking and blaspheming Christianity is permitted in opening ceremonies. Article 50 of Olympic Charter, no type of political, religious, or racial demonstration or propaganda shall be permitted in any Olympic venue. Back some years ago, I used to watch some of the Olympics, but the last several, I haven't watched anything because it's all garbage, especially the last one and this one, and they just keep getting worse. Governments and corporations, the alphabet gang, middle and low class, homeless people, as well as veterans, among other groups. Here's the website of the UK news, The Sun. You're in control of cookies. Consent to personalized ads and cookies. Accept all or pay to reject personalized ads. Already a pay to reject user? Log in here. In other words, if you don't want to accept the cookies, then you have to pay to reject them. And we're probably going to see more of this, or they simply won't even give you the option. Which in the end, does it really matter which one that we click? I seriously doubt it. Black privilege in San Francisco. Black firefighter looks up Asian co-worker's address, shows up at his house and tries to beat him to unaliving with a hydrant spanner, which is a heavy brass wrench measuring 15 inches. Asian firefighter gets fired for cooperating with police. Black firefighter keeps his job, never missing a paycheck. I couldn't care less what color they are, but we're just seeing more and more examples of where the victim is the one who is classified as the criminal. And just the fact that he beat him in the head with his wrench and in the process broke both of his arms while he was trying to protect himself, and yet the attacker wasn't immediately arrested and charged, shows exactly this. Sweden to prosecute 2 men over Quran burnings. And yet, if you reverse the roles, they can burn all the Bibles, flags, and everything else that they want, and that's called freedom of religion. Welcome to Planned Parenthood. I'm Dr. Moloch. Just a few questions, then we can start the sacrifice. Procedure. 100% true. I've said that for many years. It's just one of the modern day incarnations of it. If you really done some research and wanted to know, you'll find out that there's another major modern day incarnation of it too. Men are less likely to wear masks. Another sign that toxic masculinity unalives. Shaming people who refuse to wear masks isn't a good look. Pick your health leader. Greta Thunberg reportedly deletes 2018 tweet claiming climate change will wipe out all of humanity by 2023. Yeah, it's the same thing that all of these people has done for nearly 40 years now. Asking ChatGPT, make a joke about men. Reply, why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything, just like men and their excuses. Make a joke about women. Reply, I'm sorry, but as an AI language model, I cannot generate jokes that perpetuate negative stereotypes or offend a particular group of people, including women. My programming is based on promoting respect and empathy towards all. Yeah, all these AI are programmed to give a conditioned response. Just like 2 other videos I've seen recently about Alexa. Here's one of them.
Alexa, why should I vote for Donald Trump?
I cannot provide content that promotes a specific political party or a specific candidate.
Alexa, why should I vote for Kamala Harris?
While there are many reasons to vote for Kamala Harris, the most significant may be that she is a strong candidate with a proven track record of accomplishment. As the first female vice president, Harris has already broken down a major gender barrier, and her career in politics has been characterized by a commitment to progressive ideals and a focus on helping disenfranchised communities.
Scotland cut down 14 million trees to make way for wind turbines. Yeah, that's their green energy agenda at work. Violent crime is at a nearly 50-year low. Readers added context. Crime rates appear to be lower because 2 of the largest police agencies are no longer reporting data to the FBI. They always manipulate the data, just like they do for inflation and unemployment numbers. Swiss writer who called journalist, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be charged too, sentenced to 60 days in prison. Alphabet groups applaud decision. And right on the same page, YMCA accuses teen of hate speech for voicing concerns over biological male in women's locker room. It's just sickening the things that's taking place these days. How men treated women. Before feminism. After feminism. It's just facts. It is very true. California advances zero down, no payment home loans for undocumented immigrants. And like this example here, there's already a push being made for saying illegal aliens or illegal immigrants to be called hate speech. Rioters face terror charges, 10 years hard labor. This is concerning those over in the UK protests. I'm not a bus. I identify as a train. This driver deserves a raise. Vegans triggered by a man eating food in the street. I actually saw a part of this video, and she is literally screaming at this guy. And he isn't doing anything, not saying anything back, and yet there's the cop over there in the background that won't do a single thing about it. Yet, if the guy did start yelling back, or anything else, I guarantee you he'd be arrested on the spot. The current financial situation. Yep, this is the Chinese military current training regimen. The barista when I select no tip on a $9 coffee. Aliens are real. Yeah, I know. Lower the cost of living. I'm about to get arrested at PetSmart. Test to see which litter is right for you. A store put this up. They're just asking for it. Boomers. It feels like we're coming into the days of Soylent Green. And I have one thing to say. You little Gen X, Y, and Z rugrats aren't turning me into a cracker. We're seeing Soylent Green, 1984, and more, all coming to pass right now. Look, if your memes aren't good enough to get you arrested in the UK, then they're weak. Do better. It ain't just the UK. There's similar things happening in France, Australia, and other places. And soon, it's going to be a whole lot more.
Well, this is a very dark day in Australia's history, ladies and gentlemen, because this week the Respect at Work and Other Matters Amendment Bill 2024 was passed in Queensland Parliament. Well, what does this mean for you? Well, from now on, we're going to have to police our thoughts and our speech very carefully on social media, and here's why. Any post made on social media now is deemed by this bill to be a public act, and any public act found offensive by a reasonable person of the minority community that it describes is then chargeable under Section 52A of the Criminal Code, and these charges carry a maximum sentence of 3 years jail time. So as you can see, it's not hyperbole to say that this bill paves the way for Queensland citizens to serve jail time for social media posts that offend minorities. This bill is the most egregious encroachment of freedom of speech that I have ever seen in Australia. And worse still, this is a piece of legislation that is self-protecting in the sense that to speak out against it is to be in contravention of it. At One Nation, we will seek to enshrine in law your freedom of speech, and we are the only party that advocates to do so. So vote different. Vote One Nation in the October state election, and let's wrestle back our freedoms from a government that is quite simply out of control. See you there.
As a mortician, I always tie the shoelaces together of the unalived, because if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, it will be hilarious. Deceased Democrat congressman wins New Jersey primary. I read a little bit about this, and apparently after a certain date, they can't change the candidate no matter what, even if they're unalived. But apparently there were still voters that didn't even know that he was unalived. And I'll end the video with this. The world you were born in no longer exists. This is true in so many ways in these days. I'd just like to thank all of my viewers, everyone who subscribes to the channel and hits the like button, and all those who share the videos, as all of those things really help to support the channel. And if you want to support the channel more, you can continue to watch more episodes by clicking on one of these here. I thank you all for watching. Take care, stay safe. This is Akorn, over and out.